UFC featherweight Billy Quarantillo. Thank you so much for joining me today. How's life with you, man?
Oh man, everything is good. Thanks for having me once again. Always good catching up with you. How's everything with you?
Same old thing, man. Same old. Now, let's get into it, man. You've been through a wild couple of months. Late May, you got back into the octagon. You faced Spike Carlisle. Extremely wild, extremely entertaining fight. Your first decision in years.
Yeah.
You got the well-deserved win, but was there some things that bothered you about that performance?
Um, it was kind of what we expected. It was kind of what me and my coaches expected. We knew he was going to come out super aggressive. He's a wild man. And I assumed I'd be able to weather the storm. I was hoping to put him away. I predicted kind of exactly what happened. I was hoping to take over a little bit sooner in the second round, and get that second round or third round finish. So overall, I'm not disappointed with my performance. Beating a tough guy like that. He was 9-1 going into that fight. I'm happy with the win, but definitely didn't want to make it as close as it was. I got the unanimous decision, but I definitely would like. I'm a finisher. I finished the last five guys before that, so yeah, it was it was good, but it was also we got a lot to work on, and this has been a great camp, working on a lot of those things that we needed to tighten up a little bit.
All right, now in that fight, Spike he walked away from you and you took advantage of it. You went over there and tried to punch him in the face, and then a couple weeks later, Betch Carrera did the same exact thing. Were you watching that fight live?
Yeah, like that. Well, and there was like people tagged me in it, and they were saying it was similar, but it was a little bit different because with Spike, he knew the 10-second, like, so with Spike, if you watch it, the 10-second marker goes, and he keeps going, for a few more seconds, and then he kind of gets up like, oh, like I didn't finish the round. So Spike knew, after at first I didn't really know what happened, but Spike definitely knew the round was still going on. He just tried to time it to kind of like walk off. With Beth, it was a little more unfortunate because I think she really did think that was like the bell instead of a 10-second timer. So yeah, it was unfortunate. You gotta listen closely. There's a 10-second timer and then the bell. So yeah, unfortunate for Beth, and Spike was just being a little too cocky.
Yeah, I think he was trying to be cool. Maybe trying to walk away.
Yeah, that's what I think. It was like, one of those like, oh, I'm just gonna walk off. Like that was my round. But I'm glad to get that shot in, and I would do it. I would do the same exact thing. I'd probably try to punch him harder next time.
Definitely, man. Now a month later, you went and cornered Matt Favela. That whole
Yep.
tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
Talk about that ordeal, man. Going through that fight week.
Yeah, it was wild, man. So if you don't, for the people that don't know, me and Matt Frivola have been, close friends. We're actually roommates we actually lived together for a year. We've been good friends since 2010, and teammates. So yeah, he cornered me in my fight, and we didn't have any issues. And then when it came time to his fight, that was when, Florida, especially where I live, we got hit pretty bad with that COVID wave. So I didn't think anything, of it. I obviously wouldn't have went if I knew I had COVID. So we flew out there, and, I felt fine. I had like a bit of a stuffy nose, but that was it. I felt I was working out. I was doing everything normal. And yeah, they told me I had COVID. And not only that, I had COVID, but then they put you on like a cannot fly list. So we couldn't even fly. So I basically flew to Vegas, tested positive, had to stay in our hotel for like 3 days. And then the day of the fight, ironically, me and Matt actually had to drive back to Tampa. So it was just like a crazy week. I felt bad for Matt, but the UFC did take care of him, so I don't feel as bad anymore. Because it was really out of my control. Of course, I would have loved to have seen him fight. I know he would have loved that fight too. I think he would have done really well. But we made it home safe. It was a long ass drive, and now we're back, and hopefully, we're both fighting on this card in a couple of weeks, September 12th. So I'm just praying that all goes well. And I guess, we would have gotten tested anyway before this one, but I guess the UFC is actually going to send us tests now before we fly out. So hopefully there's no issues this time around.
I think your situation and maybe some other fighter situations changed the protocol, and now you are getting tested before you fly out just in case. And that's good, man. You don't have to waste, like you said, you went there, You tested positive. You had to drive all the way back. It's not like you're driving to Oregon or
Yeah,
Arizona.
it was a long drive. It was a long drive, and you're absolutely right. They actually just sent us an email a couple of days ago. So not only are they going to send us like a COVID test, but I have to get a couple other tests done now because I had COVID before. I've already gotten like a few negative tests in a row. I've gotten 3 negative tests now, and now they want me to get an EKG test. They want me to do more blood work, and then they're going to send us that COVID test too. So not only are they making sure we don't have COVID, but they're just making sure we're 100% healthy. So I think the UFC is doing a really good job, keeping us safe.
Completely agree. Now, were there any after effects after you got over the COVID and the quarantine and everything?
No, no after effects. It was a long process. So when I got back, I had, like a little bit of a stuffy nose, but I felt fine. But they basically, the people at my gym, which I agree with, they wanted me to get a negative test before I came back to the gym. So I came back and I quarantined for 2 weeks, and then I was still positive after the 2 weeks. So I basically quarantined for another 2 weeks. Then I got an inconclusive test, which what does that mean? So then basically I took another week. So it basically took about 6 weeks until I finally got back-to-back negative tests. So it was just a huge pain in the butt to keep having to get tested. I kept getting the swabs in my nose, kept getting the throat swabs. And but I did the right thing. I stayed away from everyone. And, I wear a mask now just to be safe. And I definitely don't want to go through that again.
Yeah. You gotta wear the mask. I think all these people, these conspiracies about the mask, just wear it. What's the big deal? It's not like you're gonna affect your life that much just wearing a mask.
Exactly. All these all the places that want you to wear a mask, it's obviously for a reason, because this thing does spread. I don't really think there's a grand conspiracy to like take over or anything. I think it's people just want to be safe and they don't want to keep spreading this thing. I think everyone can agree we all just want this to go away, and that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, we could talk about conspiracies for hours and hours. Let's move on, man. We don't want to get people riled up. So when you get back into training, were you immediately, set to come back as soon as possible?
Yeah, it was crazy. So, so like I said, it took about 6 weeks for the negative test to come. So I basically went back to doing like Zoom workouts and strength and conditioning sessions over the Zoom calls. And when we finally sent back, I got 2 negative tests in a row. When I sent those back to Sean Shelby, he actually sent me Kyle Nelson's name within an hour. He was like, "Oh, you're negative now. Here, what do you think about Kyle Nelson?" And I said, "Let's do it." So they wanted to get me back in there as soon as possible, which I love. I'm ready to fight. I'm a fighter. That's what we do. And so they knew I was negative, and they offered me Kyle, and I said yes right away, and here we are.
When you saw the name Kyle Nelson, did you know who he was? Was he on your radar?
No, I didn't know who he was. I thought they were going to match me back up with Gavin Tucker, who, we were matched up with before, but I guess he already had a matchup. So I had to look up Kyle Nelson, and I didn't know who he was. But then I remember I watched his last fight. He fought Polo Reyes, and I knew Polo Reyes because he beat my teammate Matt. And I remember kind of cheering for Kyle because Polo Reyes tested positive for steroids, and so I never liked that. I'm usually against guys like that. So I actually watched Kyle Nelson fight before, and I actually cheered for him because he knocked out Polo Reyes right away, not even thinking that I would eventually fight him. So I didn't know, I didn't put the name together. I didn't put 2 and 2 together until I saw that and I watched that fight again. So yeah, I appreciate him knocking out, that steroid cheater, Polo Reyes. But now he's got to fight me, and I don't take steroids. I'm not coming off of steroids, so it's gonna be a really fun fight, I think.
Yeah, you're coming off COVID. Maybe that's a super
power. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But I feel there was really never any crazy symptoms. I never felt drained or anything like that. So. And the time off might have helped because I was a little banged up after the Spike fight. So I was able to, do my strength and conditioning, and I feel 100% now. I feel great going into this fight. And I was actually able, going into the Spike fight we basically only did Zoom workouts. We did a lot of Zoom workouts. We did some secret training sessions, but now in Florida, our gyms are opening back up. My strength and conditioning gym is opening back up. So you're going to see a lot stronger, a lot faster Billy Q this fight than last fight.
Stylistically, do you see anything unique about Nelson, let's say compared to Spike Carlisle? Because Spike Carlisle is a unique character.
Yeah. Spike kind of kept me up at night just wondering what this crazy guy's going to do. With Kyle, I think we kind of know, and we kind of know what to look for. He's a very fundamentally sound striker. He's a good striker. He mixes in wrestling really well, and he's a big power puncher. So we obviously got to worry about, we obviously can't get caught, staying in the pocket for too long, getting clipped with one of those big power shots. But overall, I like the matchup. I like the matchup right away, and I'm not in any position to turn down any fights. I wouldn't do that anyway. So let the best man win. I think we got a lot of advantages going into this fight, and I think it's going to be a fight of the night. I think it could be a fight of the night or a performance of the night if I can get a hold of him early.
2 fights in the UFC. You had a great fight on Contender Series, 1 submission, 1 slobber knocker of a fight, the last one. What type of performance? You say fight of the night or performance of the night. Do you see like a more of a possibility of a knockout or a submission again?
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to come out super aggressive. It's kind of my thing now that people are picking up that I got really good cardio. And if we do go 3 rounds, I'm going to be going hard in that second and third round. So I think he's going to try to get me out of there quick. He's going to try to put me away. That could lead to some openings. Whether it be I could slip a punch and take him down, or I could land one of my own shots. So I think there's a lot more pressure on him to try to finish me because, he knows that the longer this fight goes, the more I'm going to wear him down.
All right. If you get this win, man, that's 3 in a row. It's kind of like that territory of you can call people out and, and get a fight.
Finally getting there.
Yeah, you probably get a fight you want. And are there any notable names out there, any veterans in that division that you would like to fight before they, take off?
Yeah, there's a few guys that I think I would make exciting fights. I don't want like easy fights. There's really not too many easy fights in the UFC. Alex Caceres is someone that I've wanted to fight for a while. He's got a matchup. I think he's fighting this week. I think he's fighting tomorrow, maybe. Yeah, he's fighting tomorrow. When I first moved to Tampa, I started training at Gracie Tampa South, and it's crazy how long he's been in the UFC. Credit to him. He's a veteran. When I first moved to Tampa in 2010, he actually eliminated one of my soon-to-be teammates, Paul Barrow, to get on the Ultimate Fighter way back then. So he was someone I even looked at back then. I thought he was, a tough dude, and he's still, winning fights. He just came off that big win over Chase Hooper. That'd be a fun fight, I think. Gavin Tucker, we definitely have some unfinished business because, he called me out after his last fight. We were supposed to fight before COVID started. So, I want to make it clear. I'm not ducking him. I'm not ducking no one. And then, I think after this fight, I think there's one more, and then I can start calling out guys in the top 15, top 10. And that's definitely my 2021 goal is to, break in there and get a ranking next to my name.
Do you feel like this year, even though it's a pandemic going on and there's like all this uncertainty, UFC fighters, they have more opportunities now? It seems like guys are fighting more often than they did when there was no pandemic.
Yeah, I think so, which is, it's kind of crazy to think about. I was talking to a couple of my teammates the other day, and, this could end up being, one of the best years of my life financially, career-wise. I waited. It's kind of weird. I waited all this time. Not waited. I worked towards, this moment of getting in the UFC and fighting in front of these big crowds. And it happened once for DC. But since then, I'm right back at the apex where basically I fought, in front of a few people, just like the Ultimate Fighter. So yeah, I think it's great. Like I said, Sean Shelby said, let's, once you're healthy, you can fight, and he was a man of his word. He said, let's fight right. Let's make this fight happen in September. And I think the UFC is doing a great job. I think a lot of people are happy with, the continuation of sports, and they were the first ones back, and then all the other sports kind of followed suit.
All right, man. You're back in the Octagon September 12th, UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas. Thank you so much, Billy, for the time, and be safe and all the best, man.
Will do, man. I appreciate the time like always.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP post-fight for all your weekly martial arts news.